So talk to us a little bit about your business model. What does your business do?
Right.
Tell us a little bit about what your business does. Yeah.
Right. So basically, handloom sector of India is quite an unorganized sector. It's a quite unorganized sector, there are many weavers. They're working for many people, there are times when weavers get exploited, and weavers are not taught or skilled, like they are not given proper training, or they are not being motivated or being given proper skill, or maybe their wages also remain same for a constant years. So my first motto was that to associate with weavers, and and make it into a little bit of organized form. So under me, I have a master weaver who is also a manager, who is working, under whom there are more 50 weavers.
Okay, got it. So you'll have a master weaver under that. Okay.
So I wanted to make it a little more organized.
Got it.
So that. And then
please go ahead.
And then I our motto is to provide them skills, like they teach them skills, teach them with many newer designs. Like the creative mind is me, but the implementing part is my manager, my master weaver.
Got it.
Right. So we have a hierarchy.
Sure.
And through that hierarchy, we are able to teach weavers skill. Like if they were weaving a normal sari, which was fetching them 1,500 rupees per sari. Now they are making a Vanivriti design sari, which is fetching 3,000 rupees for one sari.
Wow.
Because
you almost double their income.
Because I have my master weaver has taught them many techniques. They were previously using simple looms. Now we are teaching them a little complicated technique. We are helping them to set up the loom and teach them the complicated technique. And I am the designer who is working on the trend and forecast. What would go in the market? What would sell in the market? What would people opt for? It shouldn't be like weaver is weaving, and he has a pile of stock and he's unable to sell. If we work like that, then weaver would there will be a death of weaver. We need to show them, the weavers, that weaver is a very good profession. Like any other profession, weaver is also a respectful profession. Like how we can show that? If we make it a little organized, if we provide them opportunities regularly, like if a design is in demand, the weaver is weaving it maybe for 2 years, and he's able to get quite a good income out of it, because he's we have set the trend, we have set the colors, we have set the designs, and these designs are being liked by the customers. So the weaver, the weaver is in a very safe zone now. He knows that whatever, because my commitment or my team's commitment is that if a weaver is working for me, he is setting up a loom for me. The whole loom, whatever product he makes, maybe there would be a defect in the product, but it is my responsibility to sell that product or keep that product with me. It is not going to affect the weaver wage or the weaver's family.
Oh, fantastic.
We want to give the security to the weaver, so that weaver doesn't, after a generation, weaver doesn't die, like the generation doesn't die. So that young weavers get, young weavers get that confidence that, okay, we can also earn good amount of money sitting at our home.
So I had a question, Anu. Weavers, right? Because pardon my ignorance, I'm asking this question. Why do you find always weavers in rural areas? Why can't you find rural weavers in slightly larger cities. I'm just saying, are weavers located in a particular area because of something?
So mainly weavers are like weaver doesn't work from a factory, you know, they're working from their home only. Their looms are set in their home only. Like their job is so nice. The whole to make one sari, the whole family work for it. The women of the family work for it. The men of the family work for it. And sometimes if the kid gets time apart from studying, they can also work for it. So it is kind of a very dedicated work. And actually,
what a powerful opportunity.
The whole family work to make that sari, you know, like that is the interesting thing. And when the rural if we talk about urban weavers, so normally what happens is many factories are generated nowadays, many power looms are done, like you must have heard about Surat,
yes.
There a lot of power loom saris are made, power loom fabrics are made, right? So there was a time in India when many weavers left their home and shifted to Surat to earn more money.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but the adverse effect was that they couldn't stay in a very good situation. Like the home that they were staying, they were sharing with 5-6 people. The atmosphere was not good. You know, the factory atmosphere is not good. Okay, there is lot of exploitation there. They are not staying. They are not staying with their family. They are leaving their family in the village and they are coming to the cities for work.
Yeah.
Okay, so they don't have an emotional support, both of them. So during pandemic, one situation happened. Like you must have heard that many migrant workers went back to their villages, right?
Correct. Yes.
Among
I've
them,
heard about
there
this story.
were a lot of weavers who also went back to their villages.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the weaver is working with me now. He was working with and he wanted to work with us.
So the migrant.
So what I feel like, if they work from their village in the comfort of their home and their family, and we are able to give them that opportunity to, you know, earn that amount from sitting at their home. I think that is much more better than going to Surat and get exploited and staying in a scenario which is not favorable.
Absolutely.
So I feel yeah. So that is
I've never heard of
create for the grassroots level, I feel.
Absolutely. So I just had to tell you this. I've never heard of a business model where you're creating opportunities where an entire family works on a particular product to earn their livelihood.
Right.
But it's a great opportunity. You're not just creating opportunity for one individual, you're creating opportunities for the whole family.
Right.
So fantastic. Very well said. So what are the challenges, what you had? Did you have any challenges when you started the business? In the sense, early entrepreneurship, typically people have some challenges, but did you have some challenges, or how did you make do you remember who's your first customer?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right, good. So I wanted to know, how did you, so typically entrepreneurs go through that stress of, okay, I know what is it that I want to do. I've created this product, but I'm not able to sell the product. I don't have my customer. So talk to us about the initial challenges, what you had.
Right.
I also heard that so talk to us a little bit about, did you need a lot of funds, or did you have enough funding? How did you plan for your funding to start your business? Right. And then how did the first customer come by?
Right. So when I started, I started with a very little, very small number of weavers, and I was not that much confident enough that whether financially I could support or not support. So I asked the middleman to take those my design saris and just give me some time to pay them back. To pay them back, give me 1 month time, because in that 1 month I would be generating customers. So few people actually believed in my designs, and they gave me that opportunity. and they gave me that 1 month buffer time that I could sell those products. And in between that, I had made my mind that I would be attending a exhibition. So that 1 month was production, and immediately after that 1 month I went to the exhibition in Delhi, where all the craft people come.
Good. All right.
Yeah. So
that's how you were.
Yeah. And that exhibition went so well. Like, I almost sold all my best designs. And I could also give back to those people, to those master weavers. So basically, I would say the master weavers who believed in me, and the relation I created with them. Like, it is about your speaking, about your relation, how you speaking to them, how you're talking to them. Are they comfortable with you or not? Do they believe you or not? Do they trust you or not? That is important. So after that exhibition went well, I paid them the whole amount, whichever I had, like I had paid them little because I had some savings, and my father also helped me. My father also had a full support to me. He had also helped me, and I have some savings from my freelancing work. So I paid them, like I didn't pay them full. I paid them like half amount, and half amount was that you have to trust me as a designer. You have to trust me and give me an opportunity. I asked them a buffer time of 1 month. So that exhibition went well.
Very good.
I made lot of contacts there. After that exhibition, I was called by many other exhibitors.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then the scene continued.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.